Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Channa Vallabha Jaya Giri Baradhari Jaya Giri Baradhari Gopi Channa Vallabha Jaya Giri Baradhari Jaya Giri Baradhari Yashodanandana Prajana Ranjanaya Nandana Prajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Nitai Gora Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to this trip, this venture that we're going to embark on. We're going to enter into a time capsule and we're going to go back to 1974. Before we do that, I seek your blessings to ask the Lord to bless me so that I might be able to deliver this message from Srila Prabhupada in a nice manner. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Caitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Pandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Saha Kana Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijanaha Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Saha Kana Lalita Sri Vishaktam Svitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavnabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we're going to, as I said, we're going on this journey. We're going back in time, and we're now in the time capsule. So it's the 19th of July, 1975, and we are in New York. So this is the Prabhupada is there, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj is there, and they discussing, they're reviewing the Ratha Yatra that has just taken place. We've just come out of a Rath Yatra some weeks ago, 2 weeks ago I think, so this is going to relate to us, and we will find as we read about what happened there and on that date, 19th of July, what they were reviewing there in 1976, yes, I said 75, sorry. In 1976, then we're going to see how nothing much has changed. In fact, nothing has changed from that time to now. From what we experienced 2 weeks ago to what happened there in 1976, all established by Srila Prabhupada, and it's still carrying on in the same way these days. So, the devotees were in Prabhupada's room early this morning to show him the newspaper articles of the parade. It was favorable, and he was especially pleased with the New York Times and Daily News articles. The Daily News had dedicated its center photographic section to the event with many good photos and captions. The headlines was, Fifth Avenue where East meets West. The Times carried a similar heading, East meets West in Hare Krishna fate. So, Srila Prabhupada is happy about this, and especially about East meeting West. He comments that they complement each other, because the East has the knowledge and the West has the financial assistance, the financial power. So you combine the two, and then there can be good preaching. He describes it as, the blind man and the lame man. I don't know which East meets West, and he talks about there's a blind man. The blind man can't really see, and there's a lame man who can see but he can't walk. So the blind man can help the lame man to feel his way around, and the lame man and the person with intelligence can actually give knowledge in that way. So they both help each other. But on their own they can do nothing. But if they combine the two, then they can help each other. And that is how East meets West help each other to propagate this Krishna consciousness. So he ordered his secretary, Ramakrishna Bajaj, to forward these articles to Indira Gandhi. He didn't want to do it himself. He said it would be better if somebody else from the outside sent these articles, so it will be more authentic, and it will be more, it's not like somebody from within ISKCON is promoting ISKCON, somebody from outside, which makes it much more favorable. And then let's see what he says in the second paragraph. The second part is report to Indira Gandhi. Srila Prabhupada ordered his secretary to send copies of the papers to Ramakrishna Bajaj. He said someone other than us should send them to Indira Gandhi. He felt that the headlines of the articles had captured what he said yesterday on his walk before the parade. The title is very nice. This is the point. East, as I always say, the lame man meets the blind man. Together they do wonderful, and different they cannot do anything. He is blind, he is lame. But joined together, Indian culture and American money, they will save the whole world. Okay. So, the third point that I recorded here was pulling together and puffing together. Of course, I don't think we really puff along when we pull our chariots, because it's not. There's so many people, and it's not like difficult. But if there are few people, then it can become a bit strenuous. So when he's talking about pulling and puffing together, then everybody becomes equal. You know, there might be a strong person, there might be a weak person, there might be different persons of color, there might be people from different areas, different countries, but when they come together, they are all pulling and puffing together, and that equalizes. It puts them on the same plane, on the same platform. Everybody is just seeking the truth, and everybody is Krishna conscious. They all want to understand Krishna and have a relationship with Krishna. That is the aim. And they were pulling from where? From Central Park to Washington Square Park. So what happened at the end of that, after the end of the parade, at the end of the parade, there was a free feast, music, art, dance and theater. And that's like how it is here too. That's what happens over a 3-day period. There is so much of entertainment, there's dance, there's art, there's theater, and most of all, there's the feast. Then, what about the decorations? He talks about the decorations, number 4. According to a spokesman, Ratha Yatra is a time when people come to dance, sing and feast amidst a sublime atmosphere of bright flags, festoons, banners, garlands, flowers and incense, simply to feel the poetry and blissful nature of life. Isn't that nice? The poetry and blissful nature of life. Doesn't seem like that always, right? But in that festival, when there is all of these decorations, when everybody is chanting and dancing, and when there's so much of joy, everybody is in a happy mood, everybody is in the mood of trying to please each other and trying to entertain each other in spirituality, then it becomes the blissful nature of life. Prabhupada liked the writing. Very good. This is blissful nature. So this is what blissful nature is. And we've heard so many times that in the spiritual world, every word is a song, every step is a dance, and every day is a festival. Wouldn't that be just nice if we could experience that right here and right now? And we can, and we do. Even like today, but it'll be more prominent tomorrow. But after this class, we're going to take breakfast and we're going to have, be joyful. We're thinking about Srila Prabhupada, and because we're thinking about Srila Prabhupada and whatever took place, whatever happened when he was there in 1976 in New York, we're thinking about that. And the things that afflict us, whatever is happening around us, becomes like far-fetched. It's not so important anymore. We're just thinking about, well, what is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of this dancing and singing and feasting? We are preparing to go to the real world of joy and happiness, and that is the spiritual world. Because we understand that everything that's happening now is temporary. Nothing lasts forever. We have experience of that. Every time we look in the mirror, we can see that we have changed a little bit. We're not as, how we looked yesterday was a little better, and today we're looking a little worse. Now, why am I, that wrinkle wasn't there yesterday. Or that whatever else, it wasn't there yesterday, but today, now why is this happening? But that's a good sign. It means that we're coming closer to the end, and the end means eternal joy and bliss. And all religious groups participated. Number 5, right? Tamal Krishna read out the New York Times version of the events. This one is not bad, but it's not so accurate. In size, it was dwarfed by operational sale. In popular concern, it was outweighed by the Democratic National Convention. So this article was next to, or the picture was next to this political article. But for hundreds of Hare Krishna followers, including many Indian immigrants to New York, yesterday's Ratha Yatra festival was by far the most important event in an eventful month. Pulling 3 brightly colored charts down Fifth Avenue from Central Park to Washington Square, the religious groups, not only one religious group, all religious groups, right? The religious groups adherents were celebrating one of the oldest holy days of the Indian calendar, the feast of Jagannath, the Lord of the universe. According to Krishna doctrine, most of the participants in the parade were young Westerners, followers from as far away as Caracas and Montreal, but the crowd included hundreds of Indians who brought the basic Krishna faith with them from Bombay and Calcutta. So that justifies East meets West. Right? So that now we can understand what he meant by that. And then Guru Das Maharaj emphasized that at least they recognized that it is not a cult, it is a Indian celebration. It is something that can apply to everybody, not just one particular part of the community. Number 7 is talking about favorable comments from the onlookers. The paper quoted comments from onlookers, Indians and Westerners, practically all very favorable. It is surprising that you find this right in New York City. It's our way of life, said Nagan Patel, a civil engineer from Jersey City who immigrated from Bombay. We love New York City and America. It is the most blissful place in the world. No other country will give such freedom for our own ceremony. That is a fact, Prabhupada interjected. That I say always. So, in the material world, we find there is happiness and it is interspersed with sadness as well. Not everything goes our way, not everything is good, there's good and bad. Even in this parade, there was some harassment. Let's read about that harassment so we can understand that on the road to freedom, on the road to spiritual bliss, it may not always be without obstacles. Number 8. Along the parade, no, Tamal read the last section. But the Krishna people were not entirely free of harassment. Along the parade route, 3 men, including one who said he was an evangelical Christian minister, jeered at the parade and called on the parade watchers to become Christians. Idol worship. This is absolutely ridiculous. Read the Bible, cried one man who identified himself as a normal Christian. There was a brief scuffle when an Indian immigrant tried to tear a large placard out of the hands of another heckler. The placard read, "Turn or burn." The police broke up things, but made no arrests. "They are insulting us," said a Krishna follower who declined to identify himself. "I am devotee of Krishna and Christ. These people who are doing this in the name of Christ are criminals." Except for the hecklers, however, the people were generally the parade was generally well received by passers-by who enjoyed the 3 multi-hued floats, the sun, the chanting and the dancing of the young Krishna marches. So everybody was just happy and dancing. Happy and dancing, that is the real goal. What does happiness and dancing mean? It means that you are not troubled by anything, that you don't have any anxiety, you're not so distressed, you don't have too many worries, so you are able to dance and sing. But if you're not so happy, will you be able to dance? Then you feel depressed, then you don't want to participate like that. So this festival creates a mood where you can forget all about your troubles and you can understand that if I have Krishna on my side, if I am thinking about Krishna, then everything is going to be fine. We can have that kind of faith. So there was television coverage also. Ristadhyumna added that every major television channel carried the story on their news programs last night, with CBS giving it 2.5 minutes, all of it favorable. So that was also something to be pleased about, because not only did the people who were present at the festival get the message about Krishna, but those who were watching television also got to hear about Krishna. And that is our purpose. What did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu come for? Every town and village, to take this holy name to every town and village. And that is why we are seated here too, because we're going to try to facilitate that somehow or the other. Number 12. Spiritual life is still present in Washington Square Park. Number 12, yes. Tamal paraphrased the official in charge of the park who was interviewed by CBS. He said that, "We are very proud to be able to say that this park was founded hundreds of years ago when America was religious." And he said, "Spiritual life is still present in Washington Square Park." So what did the Hare Krishnas do? They revived that spirituality. That started off hundreds of years ago, and it is still present today. So that means spiritual life can never ever disappear. The second festival. Now we also experience that. Sri Sri Radharadhanath ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Giri Govardhan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. So we had the festival on the chariot festival on Friday, where they pulled the lordships to the festival site, and then on Monday there was another festival. So here they also had another festival, and it was called the Ulta Yatra. Number 13, let's read about Ulta Yatra. Srila Prabhupada was very pleased about the reportage. On the walk today, Prabhupada again suggested they have a second festival, 1 week after the first, which is called Ulta Yatra. He said the deities can stay downtown for a week and then return in a similar procession to their permanent home. And then Prabhupada did a class. The lecture was based on Caitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 21:11. The verse stated that Lord Krishna has three energies: the spiritual potency, the living entities, and material energy. Using the example of sunshine and the sun, Prabhupada described these three emanations of God. He urged his followers to go forward on the basis of real knowledge and develop their appreciation and relationship with God. Develop their appreciation and relationship with God. We have to do that. When we appreciate the Lord, when we can appreciate everything that we have in terms of the sunshine, all the things that we have. What about the air? Can we survive without air? Can we survive without water? All of these things are there, provided by the Lord. And when we can appreciate that Krishna has provided all these things for us, then we can have a relationship with God. We can thank the Lord. We can glorify the Lord. We can read about the Lord. So this is what he means by appreciation and relationship with Krishna. You have to study Shastras for understanding his position. Whose position? The Lord's position. And if we understand Krishna, then we become liberated person immediately. Aren't we all striving for liberation? In a loose sense, we talk about liberation. So those who are in Krishna consciousness movement, they should study scientifically, not by sentiment. After full knowledge of Krishna, when you become absorbed in Krishna's form, that is called Buddha, Bhava Samanvita. That is taken from the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, verse 8, I think. Aham sarvasya prabhavyo mata sarva bhavartate iti matva bhajanta me buddha bhava samanvita. So, that one, let's see, what is it? The translation is 10.8. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise, who perfectly know this, engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. This is what we did. Why did you go to the Rath Yatra festival? Because you had that kind of faith and you wanted to serve the Lord and you wanted to worship the Lord. Lord Jagannath was there. You went there to worship Lord Jagannath, and while you were worshipping Lord Jagannath, there was so much of joy and happiness. Number 17. The main point of becoming Krishna conscious is to become a Mahatma. Mahatma means great soul. Let's see what Prabhupada says about that. When we thoroughly understand what is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness and we understand Vasudeva, Krishna, is the central point, then our life is successful. Vasudeva Sarvam iti sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Mahatma means great soul. So great soul, one who has understood that Krishna is the source of everything. It says there, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. So when we understand that Krishna is the source of everything, then you can become a Mahatma. I request that each and every one of you just become Mahatma, not crippled, but broad-minded. This is possible when we understand Krishna is the source of all energy. Thank you very much. Then we had initiation at the Rath Yatra as well, and even here they had initiation. And this one was interesting because of Bob Cohen. Let's read about Bob Cohen. After handing out cookies, Srila Prabhupada stepped down from the Vyasa Sangh and returned to his room. Because of his weak health, he didn't remain for the initiation ceremony, which followed. Guru Dasa Maharaj conducted the fire ceremony. Jagadisha Prabhu handed out beads which had been chanted on by the sannyasis along with the new spiritual names to about 100 candidates. It was one of the biggest initiations on this tour. According to among the initiates were Bob Cohen and his wife. Bob had several sessions with Srila Prabhupada in India in 1974, where he was stationed as a Peace Corps worker. Their conversations were now being transcribed into a book to be called Perfect Questions and Perfect Answers. This morning, he received the name Brahma Tirtha Dasa, and his wife is now Bhakti Dasi. So this shows the power, the potency that Prabhupada had just by talking to him, just by interacting with Srila Prabhupada on a few occasions while he was working in India. He was convinced, and now he has taken initiation and is now called Brahma Tirtha Dasa. So it is true that just a moment's association with an elevated personality can change our lives. Now we come to a letter that talks about something that has to do with illicit relationships, number 19. A letter came from the former wife of a leading sannyasi. So former wife, well, you may ask now, if he's a sannyasi, how he had a wife? Well, before he became sannyasi, he could have been married, and then when they take sannyas, then they renounce everything. Now this letter came from the former wife of a leading sannyasi, pleading that she be allowed to remarry. It was respectfully phrased, explaining her difficulty in being without a husband. She said that she had married at an early age, and then 1 year later, her husband took sannyas when she was 18. She explained that somehow she had managed to maintain a Krishna consciousness over the last 4 years, but she felt that by her nature she must be married. She did not want anything untoward to happen which would disturb Srila Prabhupada, so she humbly requested for him to sanction this. Her current engagement was caring for temple deities, where she worked alongside an unmarried brahmachari. Finding some compatibility between the two of them, she requested Srila Prabhupada's blessings to marry him. The brahmachari also signed the letter. What do you think Prabhupada's reaction was? As soon as Prabhupada heard it, he became alarmed. "This is illicit sex," he said emphatically, and called for Tamal Krishna Goswami. Allowing such an action, he felt, would greatly disturb her former husband, who is actively preaching with great success. At the same time, he was sympathetic to the girl's honesty in expressing her plight. After some discussion, he called for Palika Dasi, a friend to the girl, and he requested Palika to contact her confidentially and tell her that Prabhupada does not at all approve. He also sent a reply to the girl advising her to leave her present situation and come to New York, where there was opportunity to preach and develop her Krishna consciousness in association with other women devotees. So the important word here is association. When we have the association of devotees, we forget about our personal problems and afflictions, and we are able to engage fully in devotional service with other devotees who help us along, and in that way we can overcome the difficulty that this girl is portraying here, and other difficulties as well. Number 20 is about appreciation. We also had an appreciation program last week, you might recall, at New Jagannath Puri Temple. So Prabhupada also dictated several letters connected to the Rath Yatra. He sent Jayananda Prabhu a special message of thanks for all his hard work. "My dear Jayananda Dasa, please accept my blessings. For so long, I have wanted to have Rath Yatra in New York, and now, at last, you have helped me fulfill this long cherished dream. The Rath Yatra carts were very strong and attractive, and I thank you for you and all your assistants for working so hard to prepare such nice carts. May Krishna bless you for all your sincere service, that you may all go on making more and more advancement in Krishna consciousness." So this happens here as well. There are many devotees who come every day, who came every day for many weeks to prepare the chariots. They were busy painting, welding, decorating, all sorts of things. He also sent a letter. He also sent thank you notes to Tosana Prabhu and Adi Keshava Maharaj for all their hard work in organizing the event. Entry 1. Foot impression. Number 21 says, yes, this was something that happened. We experienced this. In the Lord Jagannath tent at the festival, they had like it seemed like a bowl, but on top of the bowl were the imprints of Srila Prabhupada's feet. And when people finished to offer their prayers to the lordships, then they came and they were blessed with this. Prabhu there, and he put this over their heads. He blessed them like that. So this is how this started off. Kirtananda Swami came with a box of clay. He requested Prabhupada to stand in it so that they would get imprints of his lotus feet. Prabhupada willingly complied. As he stood, the talcum powder covered clay surface was pressed onto his feet to help make the indent. He stepped off, but the impression was too faint because the clay had filled the whole box and so had nowhere to expand to. Kirtananda took the box away and returned a few minutes later, having removed 1-inch strip of the clay all around. Prabhupada stepped again onto it and allowed me to push down on his feet firmly. The clay yielded a clear, deep impression. The clay yielded and clear, deep impressions formed, showing even the lines making the soles of his feet. Everyone is happy with the result. Kirtananda intends to make a mold which will be reproduced in silver for installation at all our temples. So we have come to the end now. Alone time. Then Prabhupada had a successful evening to himself. At about 8 o'clock, he went up to the roof of on the roof of the house and sat silently for a while, accompanied only by myself. He chanted japa quietly for about an hour and then returned to his room. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any comments or questions that you'd like to ask regarding this adventure that we went on? Anything about the Rath Yatra that you'd like to comment on? So who didn't enjoy the Rath Yatra festival? Oh, there's some Mataji's there.
Hare Krishna. So,
Hare.
yeah, at Rath Yatra was based in the chanting tent and the japa tent. And it was so nice to see so many new people coming and chanting the holy names of Krishna and, getting some Mahaprasadam like that. And Bhakti Caitanya Swami was present most of the time. He came and sat in the tent and people got darshan of him as well. So it was very nice in that way. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you. That is the whole intention, that we get people to somehow chant. And I remember that there were some Prabhus and Mataji standing outside the tent and they were saying, can you please come and chant for a little while? And people were going in and imagine, they probably came there as non-devotees. They probably hadn't heard of the holy name, the Maha Mantra before, but they had heard about Krishna and were saying, well, let's go and see what's there. Maybe there's some nice play or some nice dances or some nice bands that are there. And what happened? They came and they were chanting. They were called into the tent and they were chanting. How wonderful is that? And how is that wonderful? Because by remembering Krishna, at the last moment, then they will go back to Krishna, to the spiritual world, where there's eternal joy and bliss. That is what the whole purpose of the Rath Yatra was. The Lord comes out of His causeless mercy for those people who cannot come to the temple or do not find the time to come to the temple, so He goes out on the street. So even while they're shopping, they might see the cart and they might turn and look towards it and they might hear the holy names, and in that way the seed is planted. Anybody else? So it's now almost 20 past 8. I think we can end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.